You know, before your feet even hit the floor this morning, you probably ran an audit.
Oh, absolutely. A complete mental spreadsheet.
Right. Just going through every single task you have to complete today.
Just to, justify your existence.
Exactly. It is like you woke up already in debt to your own productivity. You owed the day a certain number of emails sent.
Or problem solved.
Yeah. Or dollars earned before you could even grant yourself the right to feel, well, okay.
It is a phenomenal and honestly terrifying psychological default.
Yeah.
We wake up in the red, emotionally speaking, and the entire day becomes this frantic scramble to reach zero,
Just to break even.
right? To break even with our own self-worth.
And if you don't cross off enough items, you go to sleep feeling utterly bankrupt. And I know you, the person listening right now, you understand exactly what I mean.
They're probably multitasking right now.
Oh, without a doubt. You are probably listening to this on 1.5x speed while navigating traffic, or maybe you have it playing in the background while you format a presentation.
Trying to squeeze some intellectual growth out of an otherwise utilitarian hour.
Right, exactly. You want to be informed, you want to stay sharp, and you measure the value of your day by how much you can absorb and produce.
But today, we're kind of throwing a wrench in that.
We really are. We are exploring a philosophy that demands a full stop. We are doing a deep dive into a collection of writings and reflections that are centered on a remarkably difficult premise.
Very difficult.
The idea that some days, peace is enough.
Which, sounds lovely on a greeting card.
Right.
But to the modern-driven mind, it sounds like an absolute threat. It sounds like a recipe for falling behind.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this because that is the exact mission of our deep dive today. We aren't just going to tell you to, take a deep breath and pretend everything is fine.
Because it's not fine.
No. We are going to deconstruct the neurobiology and the psychology of why slowing down feels so existentially terrifying. We want to understand how we got to a place where we coupled our core identity to our output.
And more importantly, how we can surgically detach them.
Yes. So we are trading the fast-paced data dump today for a rigorous look at the architecture of our own minds. This is going to be a space for mindfulness, emotional healing, and really looking at slow living.
To really understand this, we have to look at the environment we are operating in.
Right.
When you feel that crushing guilt for taking, say, a Tuesday evening off to just stare at the wall, your immediate instinct is to internalize it as a personal failing.
Oh, 100%. You think I lack discipline.
Or, I am losing my edge.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is how systemic this feeling has become. It's not an individual failing to feel stressed.
Yeah.
It is the default setting of modern life.
It's built into the system.
Exactly. You are swimming in a current that was specifically designed to pull you toward constant busyness.
Let's get into the weeds on that because I think it's easy to blame society as this vague boogeyman. But historically, this is a relatively new phenomenon, right? I mean, if you go back a few hundred years to an agrarian society, work was governed by daylight and seasons.
Right. Nature set the boundaries.
You plowed the field, the sun went down, and you stopped. The work was finite. There was no guilt about not harvesting crops at midnight because it was physically impossible.
Precisely. The shift really happened during the Industrial Revolution.
When the factories opened.
Right, where we transitioned to measuring worth by time and mechanical output. You clock in, you clock out. But the real danger, the environment we live in right now, is the era of infinite knowledge work.
Infinite. That's the key word.
Today, your work is never physically finished. The internet never turns off. There is always another email.
Another market trend to analyze.
Another skill to learn.
Yeah.
Because the boundaries of the workday have evaporated. The boundaries of our exertion have evaporated.
And our brains haven't evolved to handle infinite horizons.
Not at all.
We are still looking for the sun to go down to tell us we've done enough, but the glow of the laptop screen never sets.
That is the exact mechanism of the trap. We are operating on an evolutionary hardware that rewards task completion with a hit of dopamine.
The motivation molecule?
Right. In a finite environment, you finish the task, you get the dopamine, you rest. But in an infinite environment, the dopamine loop gets hijacked.
Because it never ends.
You finish a task, but your inbox immediately refills. The goalpost moves instantaneously. So you are constantly chasing a biochemical closure that the modern world structurally denies you.
Wow. Okay, that makes so much sense. We tie our worth to a moving target, so by definition, peace of mind remains mathematically impossible.
Exactly.
We become participants in a sprint that is actually an ultramarathon with no finish line, and we wonder why our lungs are burning.
Yeah, we're exhausted.
It reminds me of how a smartphone battery functions.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. We treat ourselves like smartphones that must be running high-power productive apps 100% of the time.
And if you're not running an app, you're wasting the battery.
Exactly. We view a resting state as a wasted battery rather than a necessary default. It's like in computer science, there is this concept called thrashing.
Thrashing.
Yeah. When a CPU is asked to run too many heavy applications at once, it doesn't just slow down. It spends all of its processing power and RAM simply switching back and forth between the tasks.
Context switching.
Yes, context switching. The system becomes so obsessed with juggling the demands that it stops actually executing any real work. The machine is running at maximum temperature, the fans are screaming, but nothing is actually being produced.
Thrashing is the perfect analogy for the modern psychological state. We are thrashing.
All the time.
We have the financial worries thread running, the career ambition thread, the social obligation thread.
The existential dread thread.
Oh, always open in the background.
Eh.
Your brain is burning an immense amount of metabolic energy just context switching between these anxieties.
So true.
You might physically be sitting still on a couch, but neurologically you are running at 100% CPU capacity.
But wait, I have to challenge this from the perspective of the listener who is out there competing in the real world.
Go for it.
If capitalism demands thrashing, if the entire global economy rewards the people who are willing to run their CPUs at maximum temperature all the time, how do we survive if we just power down?
It's scary.
Right. If we completely strip away our achievements, our hustle, and our constant output, what exactly is left holding up our sense of worth according to this philosophy? Doesn't this just sound like a luxury for the already successful?
These are the most vital question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to the very core of what a human being actually is.
Okay.
The fear you are describing is the sunk cost fallacy of the hustle.
The sunk cost fallacy.
We have invested so much of our identity into our output that we are terrified to discover who we are without it.
Right, because what if there's nothing there?
Exactly. What is left when you strip away the resume?
Yeah.
Your intrinsic capacity to experience the world. Your ability to think, to connect, to synthesize, to feel.
Just being human.
Yes. The trap of capitalism is that it convinces you that your intrinsic qualities are worthless unless they are monetized.
Wow.
But if you look at the actual science of human performance and well-being, constant thrashing destroys the very cognitive machinery you need to thrive.
So it's counterproductive.
Completely.
Yeah.
Which means the only way to actually sustain yourself, even in a competitive system, is to radically redefine our relationship with the one thing high achievers hate the most.
You're talking about rest.
I am. But not rest as we commonly and incorrectly understand it.
Because we usually think of rest as just stopping.
Right. The material we are exploring argues vehemently that society has gaslit us into believing that rest is synonymous with laziness.
Yes.
We view rest as a moral failing, an absence of discipline.
It is a deeply ingrained bias. I mean, if I spend 3 hours on a Sunday afternoon just looking out the window, a voice in my head is screaming at me that I'm wasting my life.
The guilt is immediate.
I am being lazy. I could be reading a biography. I could be meal prepping.
Optimizing your portfolio.
Exactly. Optimizing something.
Let's dissect the difference, because it is profound. Laziness is an avoidance of responsibility.
Okay.
It is apathy. It is a failure to do what is necessary. Rest, on the other hand, is the necessary action.
Wait, rest is the action.
Yes. We have to stop viewing rest as a void where productivity goes to die and start viewing it as an active biological imperative.
Explain the biology of that, because for a hyperlogical person, telling them rest is an action sounds like a semantic trick to justify doing nothing.
It isn't a trick. It is neuroanatomy. When you are hyper-focused on a task, you are using the brain's task-positive network.
Okay.
But when you stop focusing, when you stare out that window, your brain does not turn off. It switches over something called the default mode network, or the DMN.
The default mode network.
And the DMN is incredibly active. It is the part of the brain responsible for consolidating memories, connecting disparate pieces of information, imagining the future, and forming your sense of self.
So it's doing heavy lifting in the background?
Massive heavy lifting. You cannot access profound creativity or emotional synthesis while you're in the task-positive network.
Because you're too zoomed in.
Exactly. The DMN only powers on when you stop giving your brain a specific job to do.
So by constantly avoiding rest, by filling every quiet moment with a podcast or a to-do list, we are essentially starving the default mode network.
Starving it.
We are preventing our brains from doing the background processing required to actually be intelligent, well-rounded human beings.
Exactly. You are accumulating cognitive debt. It is identical to how muscle growth functions.
Yes, the muscle growth analogy. I love this biological parallel.
It makes it so clear.
It really does. When you go to the gym and lift heavy weights, you do not build a single ounce of muscle during the workout.
No, you're tearing it down.
Right. You are creating microscopic tears in the muscle tissue. You are breaking the body down. The actual growth, the strengthening, only occurs during the recovery phase.
When you were sleeping or sitting still?
Exactly. If you lifted weights 24 hours a day, convinced that more work equals more strength, you would completely destroy your muscular system.
You'd end up in the hospital.
You would induce rhabdomyolysis.
And we are inducing a psychological rhabdomyolysis by refusing to let our minds recover.
Wow.
The cognitive load you take on during the day, the emails, the complex problem solving, the emotional labor of navigating office politics, that is the heavy lifting.
That's the gym.
Right. You are creating psychological micro-tears. If you never enter a dedicated recovery phase where the default mode network can repair and synthesize, your emotional resilience cannot rebuild.
You just stay broken down.
You end up in a state of chronic mental fatigue.
Okay, so the science is undeniable. Rest is biologically necessary for growth.
Absolutely.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Okay.
If I know this logically, why is it so incredibly hard to execute emotionally? The source talks about giving yourself permission to rest. Why is self-permission the hardest hurdle?
It's a huge hurdle.
Right. Why do I feel like I need an authority figure to sign a permission slip for me to take a nap? I pay my own taxes, I run my own life, but I am subconsciously waiting for someone to give me the green light to just exist in peace.
That goes back to the deeply ingrained authority structures we are raised in.
Tell me more about that.
From the moment we enter the education system, we are conditioned for external validation. You need permission to speak.
Permission to use the restroom.
Exactly. You need a grade to tell you if you are smart.
Right.
We graduate and immediately transfer that authority to a boss, to a market, or to societal expectations. The collective, they.
Right.
We constantly wonder, what will they think if I'm not hustling? The profound realization we have to make is that the external authority figure is never going to give you permission to stop.
No, of course not. If you prove you're a workhorse, the reward isn't rest.
The reward is more work.
Exactly. The system will gladly take every ounce of energy you're willing to give it until you burn out, and then it will simply replace you.
Which means the permission to rest must be generated internally.
You have to sign your own permission slip.
You have to become your own psychological authority figure. You have to look at your own exhaustion and validate it yourself.
And that takes courage.
It requires immense emotional fortitude to step off the hamster wheel, look at the people still sprinting in circles and say, I am choosing to stop for a moment, and I do not care if you think I am falling behind.
Rest in the modern era is an act of profound rebellion.
It really is.
That is a staggering thought. Rest as rebellion. But if we actually manage to rebel, if we grant ourselves that permission, what does the day actually look like in practice?
Well, it looks very different.
Right. If we strip away the hustle, how do we construct a day that feels valuable without relying on the metrics of productivity?
The material suggests a radical decoupling of two words we have spent our entire lives treating as synonyms.
Which are?
Productive and meaningful.
Oh, wow.
We have been conditioned to believe that a meaningful day is a productive day.
And a productive day is a meaningful day.
Exactly. The philosophy of peace is enough demands that we sever that connection.
So they aren't the same thing at all.
Not at all. It suggests that a peaceful morning, a slow, deliberate meal, or a quiet walk without an agenda can be the foundation of a deeply meaningful day.
I can hear the high achievers groaning right now.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
A quiet walk.
Yeah.
A slow meal. That's what I do when I'm waiting for the real work to start.
Right. We treat these things as filler.
Exactly. You eat a sandwich over your keyboard so you don't lose momentum.
Or you take the dog for a walk, but you have a business audiobook playing at 2x speed, so you're still optimizing the time.
And this is exactly why the modern mind is starving for meaning. We treat the actual experience of living as an obstacle to getting things done.
That's a great way to put it.
To construct a meaningful, unproductive day, you have to execute a massive psychological shift. You have to elevate those filler activities to the status of main events.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about recentering your life around your actual lived experience.
It's like treating a 15-minute walk around your neighborhood with the exact same reverence, focus, and attention that you would give to sitting in the front row of a major event.
Yes.
Savoring the mundane, noticing the architecture of the houses, the temperature of the air, instead of treating the walk as a logistical chore you have to suffer through before you can get back to your spreadsheet.
Neurologically, this shifts your brain out of the dopamine-chasing loop we discussed earlier.
Okay, where does it go instead?
It taps into the serotonin and oxytocin systems.
Interesting.
These are the neurochemicals associated with contentment, safety, and present moment awareness. The thrill of finishing a huge project or getting a promotion gives you a massive dopamine spike.
Which feels amazing.
It is exhilarating, but it is chemically designed to be fleeting. It vanishes almost immediately, and you are left craving the next hit.
That is why the goalpost always moves.
Exactly. But when you learn to extract joy from a simple meal or a quiet morning, you are building a sustainable baseline of well-being.
Because you always have access to a simple meal.
You have access to a quiet morning every single day. The happiness becomes renewable.
So what does this all mean for the person listening? I mean, let's be incredibly honest about how hard this is.
It's very hard.
If I am someone who has been running on the dopamine treadmill of high achievement for 20 years, and I decide tomorrow morning I'm going to have a meaningful, peaceful morning.
Good luck.
Right. I sit on my porch with a cup of coffee and no phone. What is actually going to happen? My brain is not going to flood with peace.
No.
My brain is going to scream at me. It's going to hit me with a tidal wave of anxiety about the emails I'm ignoring.
Yes, it will feel agonizing.
Why?
Because you are quite literally experiencing dopamine withdrawal.
Withdrawal, like a drug.
Exactly. Your brain is accustomed to a high-stimulus environment, and when you remove the stimulus, the central nervous system panics.
It thinks something is wrong.
It interprets the sudden silence as a threat. The mistake people make is believing that because it feels uncomfortable, they are failing at resting.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they immediately pick up their phone and go back to thrashing.
The sunk cost of the hustle strikes again. So how do we survive the withdrawal? How do a highly driven person, someone listening right now, actually sit through a quiet morning without their brains screaming at them?
You survive it through the strategic deployment of boundaries and silence.
Boundaries and silence.
And this is perhaps one of the most countercultural arguments within the philosophy of slow living.
How so?
We are taught that engagement is strength. We are taught that if someone challenges us, or if there is a conflict, or if an urgent demand is placed on us, the strong thing to do is to engage, debate, and conquer the problem.
We reward the loudest voice.
And the fastest responder.
Especially in a digital age where everyone has an opinion and access to your inbox, you feel this constant obligation to defend your choices.
To explain your lack of availability.
Right, to justify why you aren't participating in the grind.
The material we are analyzing reframes this entirely. It posits that choosing silence instead of conflict is a profound form of wisdom.
Silence is wisdom.
It argues that protecting your mental and emotional well-being by simply refusing to engage is something you should take active pride in.
But society tells us pride is for, trophies or promotion.
Exactly. But the source argues we should feel proud of this invisible work. Silence is not a surrender. It is not an admission of defeat. It is the deliberate, tactical preservation of your cognitive resources.
Let's contextualize the cognitive cost of engagement. Every time you explain yourself to someone who is committed to misunderstanding you.
Which happens a lot.
Oh, constantly. Or every time you engage in a petty conflict just to prove you are right, you are paying a massive tax.
A huge tax.
It makes me think of an emotional bank account.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, engaging in every conflict or internalizing every external pressure is like handing out your life savings to strangers.
Just giving it away.
Right. And choosing silence is simply keeping your vault secure.
That is a highly effective way to view it. Your emotional bandwidth is a fiercely finite resource.
It doesn't last forever.
When you internalize external pressures, or when you engage in the friction of the hustle culture just to prove you belong, you are handing over your limited bandwidth to people and systems that do not have your best interests at heart.
They just want your energy.
Right. Closing the door, turning off the phone, and choosing not to respond is the equivalent of locking the vault. You are keeping your reserves secure so you can spend them on the things that actually matter.
But I have to push back here because this can easily slip into toxic avoidance.
It definitely can.
How do we distinguish between avoiding a difficult but necessary conversation out of sheer cowardice and wisely choosing silence to protect our peace? Where is the line?
It is a vital distinction, and the line is drawn entirely by intention and outcome.
Intention and outcome.
Avoiding a necessary conversation is rooted in fear. It is a fear of confrontation, a fear of accountability, or a fear of change. That is an ego defense mechanism.
Okay, so that's the toxic version.
Right. Wisely choosing silence, however, is rooted in grounded self-awareness. It requires you to honestly evaluate the situation and ask, will engaging in this friction actually resolve a structural problem, or is this simply a drain on my energy that will change nothing?
So it's an ROI calculation on your emotional energy.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
If a difficult conversation at work is required to unblock a project or repair a genuine relationship, the wise choice is to engage.
But from a calm place.
Exactly, not frantic defensiveness.
Yeah.
But if a colleague is simply trying to drag you into office gossip, or if society is demanding you justify why you aren't working 80 hours a week, engaging yields zero positive return.
Right, there's no upside.
In those moments, silence is the ultimate power move. You are refusing to subsidize someone else's dysfunction with your peace of mind.
That fundamentally changes what it means to be successful in life, doesn't it?
It really does.
It changes the criteria for what it means to win the day. Winning is no longer having the last word or having the most crossed off items on a list.
Winning is going to sleep with your peace of mind intact.
Which brings us to the ultimate synthesis of this entire philosophy. We are talking about completely reimagining what success looks like.
We are. The culmination of this mindset is the realization that inner peace is often exponentially more valuable than external success.
Inner peace over external success.
This raises an important question about the ultimate goal of human life.
Yeah.
The philosophy doesn't demand that you abandon ambition entirely.
It's not anti-achievement.
No, it explicitly states that success is not only about accomplishing more, it is about living with a peaceful heart.
It's about balance.
Exactly.
It is essentially asking the listener to execute a complete ground-up rewrite of their brain's operating system.
An OS update.
Yes, exactly. Almost everyone listening right now is running on Success 1.0.
The legacy code.
Right. That legacy code was written by industrial capitalism, and the metrics are purely external. Wealth accumulation, job titles, public recognition, and the sheer volume of output.
And we all know, deep down, that the code is buggy.
It's full of bugs. We see people who have maximized Success 1.0, who have all the money and the accolades, and they are utterly miserable.
Chronically ill.
Estranged from their families, the system crashes.
Because it is missing the foundational variable. The material we are exploring is offering the patch.
Success 2.0.
Right. It is the upgrade to an operating system where the visible metrics of output are heavily balanced by and perhaps completely subordinate to the invisible metric of internal contentment.
But let's look at why we resist the upgrade. Is it practically possible in today's demanding world to balance the drive to accomplish more with this baseline of a peaceful heart? Or are they fundamentally opposed forces?
I don't think they're opposed, but we resist it because we have spent centuries as a species elevating the visible over the invisible.
Because it's easier to measure?
It is easy to measure a bank account. It is easy to measure a square footage of a house.
Right.
It is impossible to measure a quiet, content mind. And because we can't quantify it on a spreadsheet, we've collectively decided to devalue it.
We view a peaceful heart as a nice-to-have secondary perk.
Not the primary objective of a human life.
Right.
Tal Ben-Shahar, a researcher in positive psychology, coined a term that perfectly encapsulates this trap, the arrival fallacy.
The arrival fallacy, I like that.
It is the illusion that once we reach a certain external goal, we will reach lasting happiness. We tell ourselves, once I hit this revenue target, once I get this promotion, then I will have the freedom to rest.
Then I will have peace.
But the arrival fallacy proves that because the goalpost always moves, the peace never arrives. If you make accomplishment the foundation and peace the afterthought, you will spend your entire life sprinting toward a mirage.
So the solution isn't to kill ambition, it's to reverse the sequence.
Exactly. The new operating system requires peace to be the foundation. You do not work toward peace. You work from a place of peace.
Wow, working from peace.
You start your day by grounding yourself, by acknowledging that your inherent worth is already secure, regardless of what you produce in the next 12 hours.
And from that solid, immovable foundation, you can absolutely pursue grand ambitions.
You can build companies, write books, and solve complex problems.
But the texture of the work completely changes.
Completely.
If your baseline is peace, you are no longer working out of a frantic, desperate need to prove your right to exist. You are working out of a place of expression, curiosity, and joy.
You are essentially playing with house money.
Right. If the project fails, it doesn't destroy your identity because your identity wasn't built on the project.
And if it succeeds, it doesn't inflate your ego into narcissism because you already had everything you needed before the success arrived.
It creates an unshakable resilience.
When your internal world is ordered correctly, the chaos of the external world loses its grip on you. You can walk through the modern pressure cooker without being cooked by it.
This has been a profoundly necessary deconstruction.
Absolutely.
To pull all of these threads together for you, the listener, we have dismantled the illusion that constant busyness is a virtue.
Recognizing it instead as a systemic mechanism that hijacks our neurobiology.
And keeps us perpetually indebted to our own output. We have redefined rest not as the absence of discipline, but as a critical biological and psychological imperative.
Where the mind actually synthesizes and strengthens itself.
We've explored how elevating ordinary, mundane moments can rewire our dopamine baseline and create sustainable, lasting meaning.
And we have established that strategic silence and rigid boundaries aren't acts of avoidance.
But the ultimate defense mechanisms for preserving the most valuable asset you have, your inner peace.
It's a complete paradigm shift.
Yeah.
It is the conscious decision to stop measuring the weight of your life by the volume of your exhaustion.
And so to you, the learner, the high achiever listening to this right now, we know the exact frequency of the anxiety running in the background of your mind today.
We know how loud the demands of your life are.
But we want to offer you a profound truth to carry with you for the rest of the day. You do not have to earn your right to exist today.
Your worth is not conditional on your output.
Whether you are navigating a brutal commute, sitting under the fluorescent lights of an office, or standing in your kitchen, we challenge you to pause the audit.
Take a deep, deliberate breath.
Feel the air physically enter your lungs. Acknowledge that in this exact fraction of a second, you are enough. Your peace is enough.
And as you step back into the momentum of your day, I want to leave you with one final, deeply provocative thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
If, starting tomorrow morning, you permanently deleted that mental spreadsheet, if you completely stripped away your ability to measure your day by the tasks you completed, the emails you sent, or the money you earned, how would you know if you had a good day? What entirely new internal metric would you have to invent to measure the success of your life?
That is the metric worth finding. Thank you for stepping off the treadmill with us today, for enduring the discomfort of slowing down, and for taking this deep dive into the architecture of your own peace. We'll be back soon with more, but until then, hold your boundaries, protect your bandwidth, and remember to breathe.